Hi, fellow crocheters. It's Janet with bddpatterns.com. Thank you so much for stopping by today. In this video, I'm going to show you just how easy it is to crochet a beautiful cotton sweater. Okay, this pattern is actually something that I'm going to get a lot of use out of over the next several weeks. So you will see more videos that utilize this pattern. This is strictly the pattern. This is for sizes small through 3X, and that goes up to a 52-inch bust. Now, if you want to make it custom, stick around because I'm going to have a tutorial on how to break this down and how to make a sweater using any yarn with any size and any hook. But again, this is for people that don't want to be bothered with measurements and all that stuff. They just want a pattern. So it's called top number 1. And again, I'm going to show you 2 other projects that we can make with this in the future. But here is the overview of this pattern. It's crocheted flat, and once you get everything constructed, there is a sleeve hem border, and that is just 2 rounds of single crochet, but that's done after the top is constructed. It's 2 pieces. It's worked from the top down, and that means that this is all, you start here. This is where you start, the rectangle that you start with, and then we go and we add our body at certain points here, and so it has seams here at the shoulder, the underarm, and the sides. It's really super simple, and I know you're going to get creative with this pattern. Here's the supplies that you'll need to crochet this beautiful top. For all sizes, you should have at least 2 of these cones on hand. And I say this because you might not want to make a crop top. You might want to make a tunic or even a dress. You can do that with this pattern. The length is entirely up to you. I have the pattern written for a shorter sweater, which is more like a crop top. But it's not like a really revealing crop top. It's more of a modest crop top. So again, 2 of these, and the color that I used in this pattern demonstration is Overcast. Okay, you will need a number 5, or I'm sorry, an H crochet hook or a 5mm crochet hook. You'll need at least 5 stitch markers, so make sure you have plenty of those on hand. You need a gauge swatch ruler so that you can get that gauge just accurate. You need a very sharp pair of scissors. These are my favorite ones. It's a scissor necklace, and these are sharp, so they just cut through any kind of yarn very quickly. A yarn needle threader. This is again, all these are my favorites, and I use them every day. I'm not just recommending these, I use these. So this one is made by Clover, and it's very durable, but it's also got like a little bit of a vintage feel, which I absolutely love. Of course, you will need a yarn needle because you had the threader, right? These are my favorite yarn needles. I just love the container. I never lose this. It's awesome. 2 safety pins, and that's to hook up your front to back panels for the neckline. And of course, a row counter ring. And again, if you don't want to spend the money on this ring, you can just use a tally. If you have a click tally, you can use that. Some people use that. Some people use those little digital rings, which are fine. And also just a good old-fashioned piece of paper and a pen. Let's talk stitches. There are 3 stitches in this pattern. They are beginner stitches, and I'm going to do this a little bit differently. I am going to go over the stitches with you so that beginners can start and make a sweater. That's what this is all about. My patterns are not complicated. I never wake up one day and say, oh, I'd like to make a complicated pattern that's going to take me 3 months to make. No, that's not me. And if that's you, God bless. But for me, no, that doesn't work. I want to make something that looks like I spent hours on it when I only spent 1. So here we go. Let's make a slip knot. You have your yarn and all, whoops, my little hook's getting away from me there. You have your yarn and all you're going to do is take the yarn and make a loop. See that? And then hold it with your opposite thumb. If you're left-handed, then obviously you're not going to do it this way, but the loop should have enough of a tail that you can work with it. See, right there, it's about 5 inches, 4 inches. Now, after you've made that loop and you're pinching it right there, take this tail and run it underneath the loop and pull it through the loop. But before you do that, you want to take one of your fingers, okay, and hold it here and then just slide it, and that's why it's called a slip knot. Now we're going to learn how to chain stitch, and chain stitch is the foundation for almost any crochet pattern that you could possibly imagine, and it is the chain. It really is called a stitch, yes, but you have to know this to go anywhere with crochet. So you've inserted your hook into your slip knot that we just made, and you're going to do what's called yarn over. Okay, so now you really have 2 strands or 2 loops, whatever you want to call it, on your hook, and you're going to gently pull that through, because the first one is always a little whatever. But I will tell you this, when you're a beginner, the hardest part is getting your edges even and your gauge, and you just have to practice it. You can jump into this pattern, but if I were you, I would strongly recommend doing a couple of gauge swatches, at least 2 or 3, just to make sure that you've got your tension consistent. Okay, so now what we've done with that previous step is we've done 1 chain. Okay, we're going to do another one. We're going to yarn over, and it helps if you pinch this between your thumb and your first finger. And now we've got 2 chains. Yarn over, and now we have 3. And that's all you're doing. You're just yarning over, and you're pulling the yarn through the loop. You're hooking now, baby. Okay, so we have 4. In this particular gauge swatch, I'm going to demonstrate with 20 stitches. So what does that mean? I need 20 loops or 20 chains. However, in crochet, you have what's called your working stitches and your turning chains. And in this particular case, our turning chain is only going to be 1. For beginners, I also suggest that you use a hook that's at least a half or a whole millimeter up. In other words, a whole size. So if you were to use, like, say, an I or a J for our American crocheters, or a 5.5 or a 6 millimeter, because let's face it, when you first start out, your tension is just all over the place, and that's okay. I promise you this, if you practice and you practice and you practice, one day you'll wake up and it'll be just like with these simple stitches that I use in my patterns. I hardly ever go past a double crochet. I do have some flowers that have triple crochets. I don't like triple crochets. I think they're messy. I'm a very minimalist when it comes to a designer. So I promise you that if you learn how to do a chain stitch, a single crochet stitch, a half double crochet stitch, and a double crochet stitch, you will be able to do all my patterns. Now, do I have variations of those? Absolutely. But I show you how to do the variations. In other words, that's like it goes in a back loop, or it goes in a front loop, or it goes in a back post or a front post. And I don't want to overwhelm you. That's okay. No worries. But just know that if you learn those basic stitches, you can crochet any of my patterns, even the ones that are intermediate. It's not going to be a problem. Previously, I said I wanted to make a chain of 20, and I have a chain of 20 here. But in this particular pattern, I need to add one more chain, and that is because my first row is going to be a single crochet stitch. And the single crochet stitch has just one turning chain. So this last chain here, it won't count as our total. We'll still be working over 20, but we just had to put that extra stitch in there so that when we turn, our edge is even and nice all the way up. I'm going to get right into this because this is important. You need to know how to do a single crochet stitch. So we're going to start with that first, but on almost all my patterns going forward, the single crochet stitch is going to be in the back bump, okay? Or the double or half double, whatever we start with, it's always going to start with the stitch into the back bump. Normally, in regular, quote unquote, crochet, you would just go right in there, and that's where you would put your single crochet stitch. But I'm going to teach you how to make your first row look like your last row. And believe me, when it comes to construction, when it comes to adding a border on the bottom, if you need to do that for the pattern, you are going to thank me, because now you won't be looking for loops, counting stitches. It's just so frustrating. You'll be just seeing your stitch as it is and how you need to crochet into it. Okay, so what we're going to do is we are going to single crochet into the second chain from the hook. All right, this is our first chain. This is our second chain. So now we will have, once we complete this single crochet stitch, we will have 20 stitches. And again, we're going to be working, some people call this the back loop, the back bar. I'm going to call it going forward the back bar, because the back loop also means something else. So we are going to find that second back bar, and we're going to insert our hook into it. Now this first row is always wonky. I don't care how long you've been crocheting. You know, I've been crocheting since I was 8 years old, and it is just always going to be like this. So just go slow and be ready, because the next rows after this are going to go so fast you're not even going to know what hit you. Okay, so you've inserted your hook into that back bar. Next, you're going to yarn over, just yarn over, and pull through that bar. Okay, now you've got 2 loops on your hook. You will yarn over and pull through those 2 loops, and pinching it is just how we're going to do it. So insert your hook, and we're going to do this several times, so don't worry. Yarn over, pull that yarn over, and if it splits, don't panic, because that's going to happen too. You're just going to go back and make sure that you've got the whole piece of yarn on your hook. Okay, so now you've got 2, so you're going to yarn over again, and you're going to pull through the 2 loops. Okay, let's do this again. Insert your hook into the back bar of the next chain, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, and pull through. Okay, one more time, and then I'm going to turn you loose. And what I want you to do is when I turn you loose, I want you to crochet just like what I showed you to this back bar. Do not go into this back bar. Just save that one chain, and we're going to do that together. All right, here we go one more time. We've located our back bar. We're going to insert our hook. We're going to yarn over. We're going to pull through, making sure we have all strands. And then we're going to yarn over again and pull through 2 loops. One more time, just a little bit faster. Insert your hook through the back bar, yarn over, pull through the back bar, yarn over, pull through both loops. Now I want to show you something. If we would have done this normally, as we will be doing single crochets later, quote unquote normally, we would have this up here would be top loops, but see, that's what you want. You have basically a bunch of V's with the points to the right and the open part to the left, and that's what you want. So just don't skip any, count now, and go into that next back bar, yarn over, pull through the bar, yarn over, and pull through both loops, and continue that and stop at that right before that last back bar. Here we are. We stopped before that last bar, and I just want to show you that just like the first one, the last one is a little bit harder to see, but we're going to get it in there. So there you go. There it is right there. Just insert your hook, and it's going to be, normally it's just a little bit tighter. Yarn over, pull through the bar, yarn over, pull through both loops. Okay, now I'm going to show you how to count stitches. So we should have 20. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Wait a minute here. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12 is right there. 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Okay, I have 20 stitches, which is just perfect. That's what I wanted. Now, we're going to do a row of normal single crochets. And see, even if I was doing this, I would rip this out. And here's why. Because see how my tension changed between these stitches and these stitches? Can you see that? All right, that happens to beginners. It also happens to people that are standing up and crocheting too. All right, so now we're going to go into this with our normal, what I call normal single crochet stitches. So here we go. All right, we're going to, at the end of this row, we're going to create a turning chain. And this just our height on the single crochet stitch is considered 1. All right, so what we need to do is we need to cover that on the edge. Otherwise, our edges will be uneven and they'll pull in. So you just yarn over and do a chain stitch, just like we did when we first started out. Now you're going to turn, and now you'll be working. You're always working this way. And for the left-handed people, I'm sorry, I hope you can figure this out. If not, I hope that you find a teacher that is left-handed or that can teach left-handed. I have tried it and I just can't do it. All right, so here we go. We're going to now, instead of that back bump, which we did, we're going to just do a quote-unquote normal single crochet. And what that is let's break this down, okay? Do you see that bar right there? Okay, each bar represents a stitch. And we are going to go in between those bars or right into that V. There's our V. Now we're going to turn it over so that we're going into the side, because you normally crochet into the side, although sometimes you don't. But for this pattern, this is a beginner pattern, so we are definitely crocheting into the side, just like you normally would for almost 80% of patterns, I would say. All right, so we're going to insert our hook into that V, and we have both strands on the top of our hook. We're going to yarn over and pull through the V, yarn over and pull through both. So if this was just a bar, it's the same thing. You insert your hook into the next stitch. In this particular case, you should have, if you're looking at it this way, you should have three loops on your hook. All right, yarn over and pull through the stitch. Yarn over and pull through the loops. And that's what you're doing with a single crochet. You're inserting your hook, yarning over and pulling through where you inserted it. Then you're yarning over again and pulling through both loops, and that's called closing the stitch. All right, let's do a couple more together, and then I'm going to turn you loose, and this time you're going to go all the way to the end. So you want to make 20 stitches if you're making this along with me for your swatch. So insert your hook into the next stitch, yarn over, pull through the stitch, yarn over, pull through both loops. Insert your hook into the next stitch, yarn over, pull through the stitch, yarn over, and pull through both loops. Okay, go ahead and complete this row, the second row of single crochets, and we'll meet back at the end. Okay, here we have completed 20 single crochet stitches, and we are at the end of the row. Now we're going to get into our pattern. Our pattern is a 2-row repeat. It is a single crochet, double crochet, single crochet, double crochet. Super easy, but there's a couple tricks that I need to show you. So here we are at the end of really our second row. Our first row was a foundation where we went into the back bars, and then our single crochet, which is how we're now going to do the single crochet for the rest of the project, which was a normal single crochet into the stitches, not the back bars, but right into the stitches. So we've completed 20 single crochet. Now we're going to get ready for our next row, which is a row of double crochets. So we are going to chain 2. As I said before, this single crochet stitch is considered 1 tall. The double crochet stitch is considered 2 tall. So we need to chain 2. Now before I continue, I don't want to get into an argument with anybody, but some people claim that you have to do 3 chains for your turning chain for a double crochet. To those of you that do that, rock on with that. This is how I do it. So I'm teaching you how I do it, how I was taught to do it, and how a lot of, frankly, the older books teach you that it's 2 chains for the double crochet. So we've chained 2 and get ready for the next row. Okay, we just finished our second row of single crochet and we chained 2. Now we're going to turn our work because we're going to be working again this way. So here we have chain 2. And in this particular pattern, the turning chain from the previous row counts as the first stitch of the next row. So let me explain. All right, here normally we would just chain and maybe we would turn and we would start our stitch into this space right here because that is the first space. We're not going to do that. In this particular case with the double crochet, I am counting this turning chain as the first double crochet. So we have to skip this first stitch in order to make 20 stitches, and we want to keep our stitch count the same because there's no decreases or increases in this pattern. All right, so we have chained 2, we have turned, and now we're going to yarn over just like we did before, or no, not like we did before, but we're going to yarn over before we insert our hook. Now here's our first stitch. We don't want to go into that stitch because we've already completed the first stitch with the turning chain. So we've yarned over before we insert our hook, and we're going to insert our hook just like we did before into the next stitch. Now we're going to yarn over again, okay, and just pull that yarn over right through that stitch. That's how we always do it, okay? Now when you're doing a double crochet, it really helps when you're first starting out, and it helps all the time, if you just pull up a little bit. You want it to have enough tension so that it's straight going across. Now, this is where you're going to have to practice. When I'm going slow, I have a difficult time doing this. So let me start over again. I'm yarning over, inserting my hook into the next stitch, skipping the first stitch, yarn over, pull through and pull up. Okay, see how I'm like basically at the same height with the turning chain, and that's what you want. Yarn over and pull through 2 loops. Yarn over and pull through 2 loops. Let's take a look at what we did here. You see how that works? That's actually 2 stitches tall. Okay, so that's why when I say we need 2 chains at the turning chain, this is what's going to make everything even. And don't forget, don't go into that first stitch. When you first start out, I'm going to show you how easy it is just to count your stitches to double check. All right, so here we go. This time, not the single crochet, but the double crochet, we have to yarn over before we insert the hook. That's what creates that extra stitch. Insert your hook into the next stitch. Yarn over. Pull through your yarn over and pull it up so that it's about the same height. Yarn over, pull through 2 stitches, yarn over, and pull through 2 loops. Okay, see? Now we have created 3 stitches. Again, because this first chain counts as a first, that turning chain counts as a first stitch. Let's do this a couple more times. Yarn over, insert your hook, yarn over, pull through the stitch, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, yarn over, pull through the last 2 loops. Now we have 4. Yarn over, insert your hook, yarn over, pull through the stitch and pull up just a little bit. Okay, get that height right. Yarn over, pull through 2 loops, yarn over, pull through 2 loops. Okay, now we have 5. All right, let's do one more together. Then I want you to go all the way to the end and get into that last stitch, and we'll meet back for the next row, which is going to be just a row of single crochet. How awesome is that? I'm going to show you just how to do this just a little bit faster. And you will get your tension right, because I'll show you something here. See, my tension was looser. That one strand, you can see it's just a little bit looser. You got to really focus on keeping your tension even. So when you're first starting out, or if you really haven't done this stitch before, that's okay. It's a beginner stitch. It's not hard. It just has one more step than the single crochet. We just completed 20 double crochet stitches, and we're going to count to make sure that we've done the 20 stitches. How do I do that? All right, remember I said this is your first stitch. That's your turning chain. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. So we have completed 20 double crochet stitches. So that is the first row of our repeat is actually a single crochet row. So we're going to go back and do that. So we're going to chain 1, and we are going to turn our work. Now we are single crocheting, okay, into the first stitch. The last row of double crochets, we skipped that stitch because we considered our turning chain the first stitch of the new row. Not the case today. This turning chain is just a turning chain. It is not a stitch for the single crochet rows. So you've got to go right into that stitch just like normal. Yarn over, pull your yarn through, yarn over, and pull through both loops. Okay, now you can really see the stitches. See, there's a stitch there, stitch there, stitch there, stitch there, stitch there. Okay, so we're going to just single crochet into all 20 stitches. Okay, here we are at the end of the row. Now, before I talk about this, I just want you, let's count and see where we're at, but let's show you up close what this last stitch looks like. Now, normally you think, okay, I've completed my stitches and it's time for me to, in this case, chain 2 and turn. No, incorrect. Okay, remember when we started out, I said that the turning chain is going to be, the turning chain from the single crochet row, the turning chain of 2, is going to be our first stitch of our double crochet row. Okay, so let's count this and see, and we should have 19. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, and 19. Okay, oop, we need 20, don't we? Okay, not a problem at all. Here is the turning chain from the previous row. See that? We're in the stitch, but this is the turning chain. So we're just going to go ahead and go into that top loop of the turning chain like we normally would. Insert our hook, yarn over, pull through that, yarn over, and pull through both stitches. Now we have 20 stitches. So whenever you're at the end of a single crochet row, once you've started the pattern, which is the double, single, you will need to look for that turning chain in order to get the correct stitch count in. If you don't do this, you're going to have a big hot mess. Your one side will go, oh, it'll be a disaster. So don't do it. Just make sure you count your stitches. If this is your first project, just go slow and you can do it. If this is not your first project, then rock on, because you're going to love how easy this is. You can make a bunch of these in no time. Okay, so here we are. We are going to chain 2 because our pattern is 1 row of single crochet, 1 row of double crochet, 1 row of single crochet, and 1 row of double crochet. All right, that's our pattern. But we're going to do this together one more time so that everybody sees how this works, okay? Because what you're going to do after this is you're going to continue on, because we need to make a gauge swatch to make sure that we're on gauge for this pattern. All right, we've chained 2 at the end of our single crochet row. Now we're going to turn. Remember, that is our first stitch. So we need to skip the stitch. Then we're doing double crochets, so that means that we have to yarn over before inserting. Insert our hook, yarn over, pull through the stitch, pull up a little bit, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, yarn over, and pull through 2 more. One more time together, and then we're going to do this next row by ourselves so that we can go at our own pace. All right, so we've yarned over, insert our hook, yarn over, pull through, pull up a little, get that height, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, yarn over, and pull through 1 more. All right, I'm going to do another one without talking. Now we have 4 double crochet stitches, and we're going to go to the very end to give us 20. All right, we just completed our 20 stitches, and again we're going to count just to confirm we've got that. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, and 20. All right. Next is, again, our row of single crochet. So we're going to chain 1 and we're going to turn. Now don't skip that first stitch in the single crochet row. Remember that. Just insert your hook, yarn over, pull through, insert your hook. Yarn over and pull through both loops. Okay, insert your hook, yarn over, pull through the stitch, yarn over, pull through the 2 loops. All right. Continue along. with your single crochet until you get to that 19th stitch. Then we'll go over placing a single crochet into the top of the turning chain from the previous row to make us stay at 20 stitches. All right, here we are at the 19th stitch, and again, yeah, that's my dog. She's a barker sometimes. She's just alerting me that someone's here, and it's my husband. But anyway, we can tell that we're not quite right on our edge. So we need to go into that turning chain, which is just right there, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, and complete that 20th single crochet stitch. Now, I want you to repeat this pattern, but let's lay our gauge down here first, our gauge swatch, okay? I want you to lay it at the bottom of the first row of double crochets, and I'm doing this with you because I want you to make sure that you're going to get an accurate gauge. If you have to go up or down a hook, you'll know by the end of this process. So go ahead and keep repeating this pattern of double, single, single, double, however one you look at it, until you get to where you're at least one single crochet row beyond this. And again, you are putting it here, and we're gonna just, if you want to do it really professionally with your gauge like I'm gonna do, then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do 2 rows of single crochet when I get up here. But you just want to go a little bit past this, and we're way past it on the outside, but that's okay, because I'm going to show you 2 ways to check your gauge. All right, so we've completed our gauge swatch, and now we're going to take a look and see what our gauge is. And the best way to get an accurate measurement is go to the base of the first row of double crochet stitches and then go up there. Now, the gauge for this particular pattern is 2 rows per inch, or 8 rows over this field of 4x4. So what that means is for every single crochet, double crochet combination, that should equal 1 inch, and that's the gauge for your rows. For your stitches, the gauge is 10 stitches over this 4x4 field here, which equals 2.5 stitches per inch. Another way to measure gauge, if you don't have a gauge swatch ruler, is don't just sort of go 4x4 here, because it's not really going to be accurate, but you can measure the width, which is 8 here. And so take 20 stitches and divide that by 8, and that's going to come out to 2.5. And then here again, the rows, this is 6, and I have, let's see, 3, 5, 7, 9, 11. I have 13 rows. So if I divide 13 by 6, it's going to be over 2, which is where we're at, and that is actually accurate, because remember, there's 2 rows of single crochet at the top and at the bottom, because I wanted you to learn how to make the pattern when you did your gauge swatch. All right, so that's our gauge swatch.